The potato salad hit my face first, cold and wet, followed by coleslaw sliding down my neck. My 7-year-old daughter's scream pierced through the laughter as my own parents stood there, empty containers in their hands, grinning like they'd just won something. My cousin's phone caught it all, her voice cutting through the chaos. It's hilarious. That was the moment I understood if I didn't end this cycle of cruelty disguised as family tradition. My daughter would be next. No more keeping the peace. I'd keep evidence. I'd keep lawyers. And I'd keep boundaries. My name is Rachel Monroe, and I've been swallowing humiliation since I was 8 years old. The first time my mother Eleanor made me part of the joke, I was standing in front of my entire 3rd grade class at Ashwood Elementary. It was my birthday chocolate cake with pink frosting that I'd helped her bake the night before. She'd promised it would be special. What I didn't know was that special meant she'd loosened the cake stand and taught my father Ray exactly when to bump the table. The cake landed face down on my new dress while 30 kids laughed. Through my tears, I heard her voice, sharp as glass. "Oh, Rachel, don't make such a big deal. It's just a bit of fun." 26 years later, I still remember the weight of that frosting, the way it clung to my skin like shame. Now I'm 34, a single mother working as a logistics manager at Firefly Event Co., planning other people's perfect moments while my own family treats dignity like something you can wash off in the shower. My daughter Nora is 7, almost the same age I was when the pranks started. She has my stubborn chin and her father's gentle eyes, though he hasn't seen them since she was 2. Some abandonment is obvious, like David walking out. Some is subtler, like parents who stay but treat your boundaries like suggestions. The pattern was always the same. Every family gathering, every milestone, every moment that should have been mine, they'd find a way to make it about them. My high school graduation dad accidentally played the wrong music during my valedictorian speech circus theme instead of pomp and circumstance. My college acceptance celebration, Mom replaced my champagne with pickle juice in front of my friends. Building character? She called it. Family tradition. I learned to brace for impact, to keep my expectations low and my reactions smaller. Even when I was 8 months pregnant with Nora, waddling through my baby shower, Cousin Tessa thought it would be hilarious to pull my chair out as I sat down. I caught myself on the table edge, barely, while she filmed for her fledgling YouTube channel. The bruise on my ribs lasted 3 weeks. The video got 12,000 views. "You're too sensitive, Rachel." That's been the family motto since before I could spell my own name. Every cruel joke, every public humiliation, every violation of basic respect, all dismissed with those 3 words. And for years, I believed them. I thought maybe I was broken, missing some crucial gene that would let me laugh while my dignity dissolved. Moving to the suburbs of Ashwood should have been a fresh start. A tidy townhouse with a yard for Nora. Good schools. The kind of HOA that cares about lawn height and mailbox colors. The kind of place where people value propriety, where public scenes are social suicide. I thought maybe here, surrounded by neighbors who clutch their pearls at unmowed grass, my family might finally behave. But predators adapt to any environment. They just learn to hunt differently. The jokes became more sophisticated. Mom would mix up my food orders at restaurants, ensuring I'd get allergens on my plate, nothing deadly, just enough to cause visible discomfort. Dad started forgetting to mention time changes for family events, ensuring I'd arrive late or early, always off balance. Tessa, now 29 with 60,000 followers on her Sun Vibe social channels, had professionalized the torment. She called it content creation. Last month, she posted a compilation video, pranking my uptight cousin for 10 years. I'm in every clip, food in my hair, drinks on my clothes, my face cycling through surprise, hurt, and resignation. The comments section was a masterclass in casual cruelty. She never learns. Why does she keep showing up? Some people deserve it. That's when I started documenting everything. Screenshots, saved videos, witness contacts. Not because I planned to use them. I was still too deep in the fog to imagine that. but because I needed proof that I wasn't crazy, that this was really happening, that I wasn't just too sensitive, Nora asked me last week why we had to go to the family picnic. "Grandma makes you sad," she said, her 7-year-old wisdom cutting straight through years of rationalization. I told her family was complicated. The truth was simpler and uglier. I was still that 8-year-old girl, desperate for parents who would finally see me as more than a punchline. The invisible buckets, that's what I call them now. Years of accumulated shame and fury, balanced precariously above my head, waiting for someone to pull the string. I just didn't know the string would be literal. The Riverbend Park Pavilion looked perfect that Saturday afternoon, white lattice wrapped with fairy lights, picnic tables dressed in checkered cloth, the June sun filtering through oak leaves like nature's own Instagram filter. I'd helped coordinate the permits through Firefly, making sure every detail was legal and proper. The irony wasn't lost on me. Half of suburban Ashwood had shown up. The Hendersons from the HOA board, my co-workers Janet and Marcus from Firefly, Pastor Williams and his wife, even some of my newer clients who lived nearby. Mom had insisted on inviting everyone who matters, her code for anyone she could perform for. Nora wore her favorite sundress, the yellow one with daisies. She'd been excited all week about the 3-legged race and the pie contest. I'd made my grandmother's apple pie the one thing from my family worth preserving. We arrived at 2:15 p.m., right on time. My contribution balanced carefully in my hands. "Rachel," Mom's voice carried across the pavilion. Eleanor Monroe stood at the center table, holding court in her element. "Everyone, my daughter's finally here." The way she said finally made 15 minutes sound like 15 years. The setup was obvious in hindsight. The placement of the tables, the way Dad steered me to stand at a specific spot for the family photo, how Tessa kept checking her phone and adjusting her position, even the coolers, strategically placed within easy reach. "Before we eat," Mom announced, her voice pitched to Carrie, "we have a Monroe family tradition." My stomach dropped. There'd been no mention of any tradition in the group texts, no warning in our planning calls. Around us, conversations quieted. Janet from work looked over with interest. The Hendersons leaned in. Since Rachel's organized such a lovely event, Mom's smile was pure performance. She deserves our special welcome ceremony. I saw Dad lift the first container, an industrial-sized tub that had been hidden behind the drinks cooler. The potato salad, 5 pounds of it, mayonnaise heavy and sun-warm, hit me like a cold, wet slap. It splattered across my face, filled my nose with the stench of warm mayo and pickle relish. Before I could even gasp, the coleslaw followed, rivers of it sliding down my neck, pooling in my bra, weighing down my hair. No. Nora's scream cut through everything. She ran toward me, but Aunt Patricia caught her, held her back while she thrashed. "Stop it! Stop hurting Mommy!" But they weren't done. Mom grabbed the bean salad, the one with the vinegar dressing that stings your eyes. Dad found the macaroni salad, thick and glutinous. Even Uncle Ted, usually passive, picked up something, was it? Fruit salad. My eyes were burning too badly to tell. Through the chaos, I heard Tessa's voice, bright and crisp. "Oh my God, this is perfect. It's hilarious." Her phone was steady, professional, catching every angle of my humiliation in 4K resolution. The laughter started slowly, uncertain. Some neighbors looked horrified, but others, too many others, began to chuckle. Someone said, "Food fight," like this was normal, like this was fun. My work colleague stood frozen. Marcus had his phone out, not filming but clutching it like a lifeline. "Don't be dramatic, Rachel." Mom's voice cut through as the last container emptied. "It's just a bit of family fun. Look, everyone's enjoying themselves." I stood there, dripping, breathing through my mouth because my nose was full of potato salad. My dress, the professional summer dress I'd worn to seem put together, respectable, was destroyed. Food pooled in my shoes. A macaroni noodle slid down my cheek like a tear. "Mommy," Nora had broken free, was tugging at my soaked skirt. "Mommy, I want to go home." That's when I saw Ty Bennett, the park manager, approaching with his clipboard. His face was professionally neutral, but his eyes were recording everything. Behind him, a family at another pavilion was filming. 3 teenagers by the playground had their phones out. "Mrs. Monroe," Mom was saying to the crowd, "has always been a bit sensitive. We're just trying to include her. It's a baptism." Tessa announced to her phone. "A Monroe family baptism, guys. My cousin is literally dripping with tradition right now." I wiped mayonnaise from my eyes and looked at my parents. Really looked at them. Dad was chuckling, wiping his hands on a napkin like he'd just finished a chore. Mom was already turning away, moving on to the real food, the clean food for the people who mattered. Pastor William's wife handed me a stack of napkins, her face full of the kind of pity that burns worse than vinegar. Janet from work couldn't meet my eyes. The Hendersons were whispering, and I heard the word inappropriate drift over. I knelt down to Nora's level, food still dripping from my hair. "We're going home, baby, right now." "But Rachel," Mom called out, "you haven't served your pie." I picked up my daughter and walked toward the parking lot, each step squelching. Behind us, Tessa's commentary continued, "And she's leaving classic Rachel. Can't take a joke." Don't worry, guys. I got the whole thing. This is going to break the internet. In my pocket, my phone vibrated with notifications. The videos were already uploading. My humiliation was already becoming content. My pain already transforming into someone else's entertainment. But Ty Bennett caught up with me at my car. He handed me his business card and a witness incident report form. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "that was assault, and dumping food like that violates at least 3 park ordinances. I have to file a report. You might want to do the same." I looked at the form, then back at the pavilion where my family was now serving food like nothing had happened, where my mother was holding court and my father was laughing and Tessa was reviewing her footage. "Yes," I said, my voice steady despite the coleslaw in my hair. "I think I will." The shower ran for 40 minutes. I sat on the bathroom floor while Nora stood under the warm water, watching mayonnaise and vinegar swirl down the drain. She hadn't spoken since we got home. Neither had I. Sometimes trauma needs silence to settle before words can touch it. "Why did Grandma let them do that?" she finally asked, her small voice echoing off the tiles. I wrapped her in her favorite towel, the one with unicorns. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, people who should protect us don't. And that's not okay. It's never okay." My phone had accumulated 53 notifications by the time I checked. Tessa's video was already on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. "Karen cousin gets food baptism." The view count climbed as I watched. The comments were a masterclass in mob cruelty. She just stood there and took it. Why doesn't she ever fight back? Some people are just born victims. Then I saw it. Nora's face in the corner of the frame, crying, reaching for me. My 7-year-old daughter's anguish, monetized and hashtagged. That's when something shifted, not broke. I'd been broken plenty. This was different. This was crystallization. I opened my laptop and created a new folder, Evidence. Inside, I made subfolders, Video documentation, Witness information, Legal precedents, Financial records. The rage was cold now, precise. This wasn't about feelings anymore. This was about facts. The group family text was already active. "Mom, Rachel's being dramatic again. She didn't even stay for dessert." "Dad, she can't take a joke, never could." Tessa, "OMG, the engagement on this video is insane. Thank you, Uncle Ray and Aunt Elle, Aunt Patricia. Maybe she needed cooling off." I typed my response carefully. Screenshot it before sending, effective immediately. All communication with me must be in writing. Any videos, images, or content featuring me or my daughter must be removed within 24 hours. This is not a request. Legal action will follow non-compliance. The typing indicators danced. Then Mom, Oh, please, Rachel, stop being ridiculous. Tessa, it's my content. I can post what I want. Free speech. I screenshot that too. My phone rang. I declined. It rang again. I turned it off. At 9:45 p.m., after Nora was asleep, I heard a car in my driveway. Through the peephole, I saw Aunt Jo Mom's older sister, the one who lived in California and rarely visited. She held a bag from the local diner and a flash drive. "I'm not here to defend them," she said when I opened the door. "I'm here because what happened today was the last straw." We sat at my kitchen table, untouched coffee growing cold between us. Jo pulled out her phone, showing me her recording. She'd filmed from a different angle, captured things Tessa's performance piece missed. Mom directing Dad where to stand, Tessa counting down on her fingers, Uncle Ted being handed a container and told, "Or else you're not welcome at Thanksgiving." "I've watched them do this to you for 26 years, Jo said. "I said something once, when you were 12. Eleanor told me if I interfered again, I'd be cut off from the family. I was a coward. I chose silence." She pushed the flash drive across the table. "Every video I have, every email where they planned these pranks, screenshots of Tessa's monetization records she showed me, bragging. Your mom's been getting a cut 15% of everything Tessa makes from videos featuring you." My stomach turned. "She's been profiting from this. Check the HOA fundraiser records, the church bake sale inventory. Your parents have been using your humiliation as a funding strategy for years. Come see what we do to Rachel this time." "They sold tickets to your college graduation party." I pulled up the HOA website, cross-referencing dates. There it was, every family gathering that turned into my public humiliation coincided with fundraising spikes. The Monroe Family Fun Day last 4th of July, where they'd thrown me in the pool, fully clothed, raised $1,800 for community beautification. At 10:30 p.m., I called Maya Ortiz. We'd met at a Firefly networking event she was with Mill and Rowan Law, specialized in harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress cases. She answered on the second ring. "Rachel, I saw the video. I was hoping you'd call." "You saw it." "Half the North Carolina legal Twitter has seen it. Someone recognized the park. It's public property." "Right. That's assault on government land. Add the minor child's visible distress, the clear premeditation, the monetization without consent." "Rachel, this isn't just a family dispute anymore. This is criminal." We talked for an hour. Battery charges for the physical contact, harassment for the pattern of behavior, IIED intentional infliction of emotional distress for the premeditated public humiliation, child endangerment considerations given Nora's trauma, violation of publicity rights for using my image commercially without consent. The park violations Ty Bennett mentioned disturbing the peace, improper disposal of food waste, potentially filming without permits. "Can you come to my office tomorrow?" Maya asked. "Bring everything, every screenshot, every video, every witness name." After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room, listening to Nora breathe through the baby monitor I still used when she had nightmares. Tomorrow, she'd have to go to school knowing her classmates might have seen the video. Tomorrow, I'd have to face my coworkers. Tomorrow, the world would keep spinning with my dignity splattered across the internet. But tomorrow, I'd also start fighting back. Not with pranks or revenge schemes, but with paperwork and precedents, subpoenas and sworn statements. I opened my laptop and began typing incident report pattern of systematic abuse and harassment date, June 15, 2024, location Riverbend Park, Ashwood, North Carolina. Victims, Rachel Monroe, 34, and Nora Monroe. 7 perpetrators, Eleanor Monroe, Raymond Monroe, Tessa Crowley, et al. No more swallowing humiliation. No more keeping the peace. They'd thrown their last bucket. The first domino fell at 6:45 a.m. on Tuesday. Maya had filed everything simultaneously the night before: criminal complaints, civil suits, regulatory reports, and platform violations. By morning, the machine was moving. Ashwood Police Department. The officer at my door identified himself as Detective Morrison. "We need to speak with you about the assault at Riverbend Park. We've already collected the park's security footage." While I gave my statement in my living room, Nora eating breakfast in the kitchen, my phone buzzed with notifications. Tessa's Instagram story was melting down in real time. "They're trying to silence me. Family persecution. Rachel can't take a joke and now she's weaponizing the system." Then, at 8:15 her tone changed. "WTF, my account is demonetized." Maya called while Detective Morrison was leaving. "DMCA takedowns are processed. Every platform has suspended her monetization pending investigation. Also, Bright Life Energy Drinks just called my office. They're terminating her sponsorship immediately." That was fast. I sent them the full video at midnight with a note about brand safety and child endangerment. "Their legal team doesn't play." She paused. "Your parents are about to receive visitors from the health department. Joe's photos were very helpful." By 10:30 a.m., Eleanor's meltdown had reached the family group text. "Rachel, what have you done?" "The health department is here. They're photographing my kitchen." Dad followed. "This is insane. It was just a prank. Now you're destroying your mother's business." I didn't respond. Maya had advised complete radio silence except through legal channels. At noon, the HOA emergency meeting minutes were leaked to me by Janet from work, who served as secretary. The board had received formal notice of potential liability for enabling harassment on HOA-managed property. The phrase "pattern of documented abuse" appeared 17 times. The vote to suspend my parents from the board pending investigation was unanimous. "They looked terrified," Janet told me over coffee. "Your dad tried to play the video to show it was harmless fun, but watching it on the meeting room screen, with the volume up, hearing Nora scream Rachel, people were horrified." The health department worked fast. By 2 p.m., why local news had picked up the story. "Popular HOA board member's home kitchen shut down after anonymous tip reveals violations." The reporter stood outside my parents' house, noting the stop work order taped to their garage mom's prep kitchen. $12,000 in fines so far. Maya updated me. "Each preserved jar sold is a separate violation. They found receipts going back 3 years." Tessa tried damage control with a YouTube video. "My truth, how my cousin is destroying our family." But she'd made a critical error. She included clips from the park incident for context. The comments turned immediately. "Wait, you threw food at her. Is that child crying? This isn't pranking, this is assault. Reported for child endangerment content." Within 2 hours, YouTube had removed it for violating community guidelines. At 3:45 p.m., the real victory arrived. Process servers found Mom at her destroyed kitchen, Dad at the golf course, and Tessa at a coffee shop live streaming about her persecution. The civil suits were officially served, but the cherry on top was the temporary restraining order: no contact with me or Nora, no posting about us, no coming within 500 feet. Tessa made the mistake of live streaming her reaction. "This is insane. I can't even post about." Her phone cut off mid-sentence. Platform ban for discussing active legal proceedings involving a minor. The financial hemorrhaging accelerated. By evening, 2 more sponsors had dropped Tessa. The pranking Rachel trademark application was flagged for opposition. Her LLC received notice of tax audit. Turns out Delaware incorporation doesn't exempt you from North Carolina income tax. Mom tried going through Joe. "Please talk to Rachel. This is destroying us. We've already lost $10,000 in deposits for December events." Joe forwarded me the message with her own note. "I told her you were done being the family joke. She said it was never meant to hurt her." I asked why they kept doing it then. She hung up. At 7 p.m., Maya called with news that made me sit down. "The DA's office is pressing charges. Misdemeanor battery for your parents and Tessa. The video evidence is incontrovertible. Criminal charges. Actual criminal charges. With documented conspiracy to commit. Your mom's text saying, 'Operation Baptism is a go,' sealed it." My phone rang a number I didn't recognize. "Against better judgment. I answered. You vindictive bitch. Tessa's voice was raw. Do you know what you've cost me $60,000 in sponsorships? My entire business. Tessa, you're violating the restraining order by calling me. I don't care. You've ruined my life over a joke. I hung up and forwarded the call log to Maya, another violation to add to the pile. That night, Nora crawled into my bed. Mommy, are we never seeing Grandma again? I pulled her close. Not for a while, baby. Not until they learn to treat us with respect. What if they never learn? I kissed her head, thinking of the court dates ahead, the depositions scheduled, the criminal proceedings that would make headlines. Then we'll be okay anyway, because we have something better than family tradition. What? Self-respect and legal documentation. She didn't understand the second part, but she would someday. When she was older, I'd show her the binders of evidence, the court orders, the paper trail of consequences. I'd teach her that boundaries aren't requests. They're walls, built document by document, filing by filing, consequence by consequence. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, probably another family member on a burner phone. I didn't read it. Maya would handle it in the morning. The hawks were circling now. Tomorrow, the park would issue their bans. The IRS would open their investigation into Mom's unreported income. The criminal arraignment dates would be set. They'd wanted to make me a joke. Instead, I'd become their reckoning. The depositions began Thursday morning at 9 a.m. sharp. Maya had scheduled them strategically, witnesses first, building an avalanche of testimony before my family had to face their own questioning under oath. Marcus from Firefly Event Co. went first. I've worked with Rachel for 3 years. She's our most detail-oriented manager. When I saw what they did to her, he paused, choosing words carefully. No professional should endure that. We've actually implemented new event security protocols because of this incident. Rachel wrote them. That was news to me. Later, my boss Caroline would confirm, you've become our case study for vendor safety and hostile participant management. What happened to you will protect others. Janet's deposition was damning. She'd witnessed 7 incidents over 2 years, each escalating. The Christmas party where they replaced Rachel's wine with vinegar, the Easter egg hunt where they filled her eggs with mud. I started documenting after the 3rd incident because I thought someone needs to witness this. By Friday afternoon, we had 17 depositions. The court reporter looked exhausted. The pattern was undeniable, systematic, escalating, premeditated humiliation spanning years. Saturday brought the strongest testimony. Aunt Jo flew in from California, her deposition scheduled for 2 p.m. Maya had marked her as a hostile witness to the defendant's family member testifying against family. Eleanor is my sister, Jo began, steel in her voice. But what she's done to Rachel is unconscionable. I have emails dating back 15 years where she plans these pranks in detail. She calls it keeping Rachel humble. Maya presented the emails. One from 2009 stood out. Rachel's getting too confident with her promotion. Time to remind her of her place. Ray bought the pie-throwing machine. That was my first management role, I whispered to Maya. They ruined my celebration dinner, Jo continued. Eleanor took pleasure in it. She'd rate each prank on a scale how much Rachel cried, how many people laughed, whether it went viral. She kept a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet was entered into evidence. 37 incidents, scored and analyzed like a sadistic science experiment. Then came the financial revelations. Jo had access to Mom's PayPal from helping with the business. She'd printed everything. Tessa paid Eleanor 15% of her earnings from any video featuring Rachel. Last year alone, that was $8,000. They called it talent fees in the payments. Maya's paralegal calculated quickly. Over 5 years, your mother made approximately $32,000 from your humiliation being monetized. Monday morning, Ty Bennett submitted the park's expanded report. They'd found footage from 5 previous incidents at Riverbend, all showing similar patterns. The park board voted unanimously. The Monroe family was banned from all facilities for 12 months minimum. The formal notice would be posted publicly. It's unprecedented, Ty told me. But the liability issues are clear. If we'd allowed this to continue and someone got seriously hurt, the IRS moved faster than expected. Mom's business had triggered algorithms when deposits exceeded $10,000 annually without tax filings. The audit notice arrived Tuesday, covering 5 years of returns. Wednesday brought unexpected allies. 3 of Tessa's former sponsors contacted Maya directly. BrightLife's legal team provided records showing Tessa had used my unwilling participation to negotiate higher rates, claiming she had a recurring cast member who drove massive engagement. She'd literally priced my pain. The second sponsor, Next Gen Supplements, went further. They'd kept all her pitch decks where she promised monthly Rachel pranks as premium content. She commodified abuse, their lawyer said. We terminated immediately upon review. By Thursday, the criminal case had legs. The DA, Patricia Winters, called personally. We're adding conspiracy charges, the spreadsheet, the payment records, the premeditation. This isn't just battery anymore. This is an organized harassment campaign. What does that mean? I asked. Enhanced penalties, potential jail time, definite probation with no contact orders that could last years. That afternoon, Mom cracked. Her lawyer reached out to Maya proposing a settlement conference. The health department fines are crushing them. The IRS audit could destroy them. They want to negotiate. No, I said before Maya could respond. They negotiate with the criminal court, the IRS, and the health department. The civil suit continues. That's aggressive, Maya noted. That's accountability. Friday's development was pure karma. The HOA conducted their own investigation into the fundraising irregularities Joe had mentioned. They found $19,000 in donations that never made it to community projects. The money trail led to Mom's personal account. Embezzlement charges. I asked Maya. Likely. The HOA's insurance company is pushing for prosecution to recoup losses. Tessa tried one last desperate move, a podcast appearance on a small platform that hadn't banned her yet. My family is being destroyed by cancel culture, she wailed. One joke, and my cousin weaponized the entire system against us. The podcast host, who'd done his homework, pulled up her pranking Rachel show pitch. This says you planned 48 episodes of pranks? That's not one joke. Tessa stammered, then claimed editing, then threatened to leave. The host continued reading from her own marketing materials, her own descriptions of escalating hilarity and pushing boundaries until she breaks. You documented your intent to break her, he asked. The interview ended with Tessa in tears, the host suggesting she seek therapy for her apparent sadistic tendencies. The clip went viral, but not how she'd hoped. Comments sections filled with armchair psychologists analyzing her narcissistic personality markers. Saturday morning, I sat with Nora as she drew pictures. She'd been seeing Dr. Coleman, a child therapist, twice weekly. The nightmares were fading. Dr. Coleman says it's okay to be angry at people who hurt us, she said, coloring carefully. Even if they're family. She's right, baby. I'm angry at Grandma. That's okay. She looked up at me. Are you angry at Grandma? I thought about the depositions, the evidence, the court dates stretching ahead, the systematic dissection of their cruelty, documented and filed in triplicate. No, baby, I'm not angry anymore. Why not? Because anger is just pain without power, and I'm not powerless anymore. She went back to coloring. Satisfied. Outside, a process server's car pulled up to the house across from ours, the Hendersons. HOA board members who'd laughed at the picnic. They were being subpoenaed as witnesses. The ripples were spreading. The infrastructure of complicity was crumbling, and we hadn't even gotten to court yet. The Picnic for Respect banner stretched across Riverbend Park's main pavilion, exactly where my humiliation had occurred 6 weeks earlier. Firefly Event Co. had partnered with the Park Service for a community education event about harassment and safe spaces. I'd suggested the name. Caroline made it happen. It was 10 a.m. on a perfect Saturday. The same families who'd witnessed my assault were arriving. But this time, I held the clipboard, professional, prepared, protected. Rachel. Someone called. I turned to see 3 uniformed park security officers and 2 off-duty police officers Maya had hired, visible, present, watching. Tessa arrived at 10:45 a.m., phone already out, narrating to whatever platform still allowed her. Going to crash my cousin's pathetic event. She thinks she can silence me with her lawyers, but... Ma'am. Officer Davies stepped directly into her path. This is a permitted private event. You're on the exclusion list per court order. It's a public park. Tessa's voice pitched high. With a private event permit. Ty Bennett materialized with documentation. Violating which constitutes criminal trespass. You have 30 seconds to leave before we call it in. She tried circling around, phone still recording. That's when the sponsor representatives appeared, all 3 companies she'd lost. Here at Maya's invitation to discuss brand safety in content creation on a panel at 11:30 a.m. Tessa. The Bright Life executive's voice carried perfectly. Legal wants to discuss your breach of contract clause about criminal activity. You might want to handle that before filming anything else. The color drained from her face. Behind her, a process server stepped forward. I hadn't even known Maya had arranged this. Tessa Crowley, you're being served with a cease and desist from Next Gen Supplements and a summons for breach of contract damages. Have a nice day. She stood frozen, papers in hand, as parents with children walked past her toward the pavilion where a bouncy castle and face painting waited wholesome, permitted, properly insured activities. At 11:15 a.m., my parents arrived. They'd clearly planned this, thinking they could appeal to the community, play victims in public. Mom wore her church dress. Dad, his HOA polo costumes of respectability. They made it 3 steps before Officer Davies intercepted. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, there's an active restraining order. This is our community. Mom's voice rose. We've lived here 20 years. Rachel is our daughter. That's when Maya appeared, flanked by the court reporter we'd hired to document everything. Eleanor, Ray, your presence here violates the restraining order. Every second is being documented. You can't keep us from a public actually. Patricia Winters, the DA herself, stepped out from the registration tent. I can. Violating a restraining order is contempt of court. Officers. The uniformed police moved forward, not aggressively, just present, official. Mom tried appealing to the crowd. This is what Rachel does. She turns everyone against family. We raised her, loved her. You assaulted her. The voice belonged to Pastor Williams. He stood with 5 other church board members. Well, we've seen the evidence, Eleanor, the videos, the spreadsheet where you rated her pain. The church is conducting its own investigation into the misuse of our tax-exempt status for your business. The crowd was growing. HOA members, neighbors, fellow parents from Nora's school, all watching Eleanor and Ray Monroe, pillars of the community, being formally excluded from a public event. Then the screen went live. I'd fought Maya on this part, but she'd insisted, controlled narrative, she'd said, your story, your way. The video montage began with title cards. Harassment is not tradition. Abuse is not love. Silence is not consent. Then, carefully edited clips, no gore, nothing gratuitous. Just enough. Me at 8. Cake on my dress. At 16. Graduation ruined. At 25. Pregnant and pushed. At 34. Food streaming down my face while my daughter screamed. But then it shifted. The deposition's witnesses describing what they saw. The police report. The health violations. The IRS audit notification. The criminal charges. The evidence, laid out like a prosecutor's closing argument. The final clip was Tessa's own words from her podcast Disaster, pushing boundaries until she breaks. The screen went dark. Then, new text, breaking the cycle, building boundaries, beginning today. The crowd was silent. Mom had started crying performance tears, the kind she used at church when she wanted sympathy. Look what you've done, She wailed at me. "You've destroyed your family." I stood up, walked to the microphone on the small platform we'd erected. My voice was steady, carrying clearly across the pavilion. "No, I've documented what you did. I've reported what you did. I've sought legal remedy for what you did. You destroyed our family the first time you chose cruelty and called it love." Dad stepped forward, face red. "You ungrateful. Ray Monroe, you're under arrest for violation of a restraining order." Officer Davies moved smoothly, professionally. "You have the right to remain silent." The arrest was clean, textbook, no drama, no resistance, just consequences. Finally arriving. Mom screamed, "This is entrapment." "You planned this," Patricia Winters spoke into her phone, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Judge Morrison. Yes, we have willful violation of the restraining order at Riverbend Park. Both respondents, requesting emergency contempt hearing." "Yes, Your Honor, within the hour." Tessa tried to run, but her sponsor's lawyers surrounded her. "We need to discuss the $50,000 in damages from your contract violation." As they were led away, parents in handcuffs. Tessa trapped by litigation, Aunt Jo walked to the microphone. "I'm Eleanor's sister," she said to the stunned crowd, "and I'm here to say what you just witnessed is justice, not cruelty. Justice. Rachel Monroe deserves your respect, not your pity. She deserves your support, not your silence." The applause started slowly, then built, then erupted. Caroline from Firefly took the mic next, announcing the day's activities workshops on respectful communication, legal resources for harassment victims, children's programs about boundaries and consent. "And our host today," she said, "is someone who transformed trauma into triumph, who chose legal action over illegal retaliation, who showed us all that documentation beats dramatization. Rachel Monroe." I stood there, looking out at faces that had once laughed at my pain. Now they were learning from it. The videographers Mom had hired to film another humiliation were instead documenting their arrest. The platform Tessa had built on my suffering was transferring its assets to pay damages. Nora ran up and hugged me. "Mommy, was that scary?" "No, baby. That was necessary." Maya joined us, grinning. "The emergency hearing is in 45 minutes. They'll likely be held without bail until the criminal trial for willfully violating a protective order." Behind us, the community event continued. Children played, parents talked. The HOA board, under new leadership since Mom and Dad's suspension, announced new policies about harassment and discrimination. The sun was shining. The park was peaceful. And for the first time in 26 years, I stood in the exact spot where they'd tried to break me. Completely unbreakable. "It's over," I said to Maya. "No," she corrected. "The criminal trial is next month. The civil suits continue. The IRS audit." "I mean the fear," I interrupted. "It's over." She understood. Squeezed my shoulder. "Yeah, that part's definitely over." The emergency hearing had been swift. Judge Morrison, a no-nonsense woman who'd reviewed the evidence beforehand, held them without bail until the criminal trial. Willful, documented violation of a protective order at an event specifically about harassment awareness. She'd said, "The audacity is breathtaking." Now, 6 hours later, the park was quieting. Vendors packed up their educational booths. The last workshop on legal resources had ended. Parents gathered their children from the respect-themed art station where kids had painted boundaries as colorful fences protecting gardens. I stood at the same picnic table where I'd been humiliated 6 weeks ago, wiping it down with disinfectant wipes. Not because I had to, the cleaning crew would handle it, but because I needed to reclaim this exact spot with my own hands. "Mom!" Nora appeared beside me, holding a painting she'd made. It showed 2 figures holding hands inside a bright yellow circle. Outside the circle, dark shapes couldn't reach them. "Miss Jennifer says this is us in our boundary bubble." "It's perfect, baby." Maya approached with final documentation. "Criminal trial is set for next month. Your parents made bail an hour ago 10,000 each, but the enhanced restraining order is ironclad now. They come within 500 feet of you. It's immediate incarceration. And Tessa, settled with all 3 sponsors for undisclosed amounts. Word is she's moving to Florida, starting over with a cooking channel. No pranks. Maya paused. The IRS hit your parents with 40,000 in back taxes and penalties. Their house is going up for sale. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just completion. Caroline from Firefly joined us. Today's event raised 12,000 for the local women's shelter. Every penny accounted for, every donation receipted. The way fundraising should be done. The irony wasn't lost on me we'd raised as much in one afternoon of legitimate charity as Mom had stolen over years of manipulation. As the sun set, painting Riverbend Park in golden light, I saw them everywhere the consequences, sprouting like flowers after rain. The new HOA board president talking about transparency, the church committee discussing proper financial oversight, parents exchanging numbers for a support group about family estrangement and boundaries. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number that Maya immediately screenshotted another restraining order violation to document. But I read it first. You've destroyed us. We're losing everything. The house, the reputation, the community. Are you happy now, Mom? I typed my response, showed it to Maya for approval, then sent, I'm free. My daughter is safe. That's all I ever wanted. This communication violates the restraining order and has been documented. Block. Screenshot. Forward to the DA. Joe approached as we packed up. Eleanor called me, begging for money for lawyers. I told her I'd spent my help budget on therapy for you and Nora. We don't need, you do, and I'm paying. 26 years of standing by while they hurt you. This is the absolute least I can do. As we walked toward the parking lot, Ty Bennett made one last announcement over the pavilion speakers. Reminder that the Monroe family ban is posted publicly at all park entrances. The safety of all visitors remains our priority. Their shame. Literally posted for anyone to see. Not hidden, not whispered about, not dismissed as family business. Public. Documented. Permanent. In the car. Nora buckled herself in. She'd been doing everything herself lately, asserting her independence in small, important ways. Mommy, will we ever see Grandma and Grandpa again? I adjusted the rearview mirror, catching her serious eyes. I don't know, baby. That depends on whether they ever learn to respect us. What if they don't? Then we'll be okay. We have Aunt Jo and Caroline and Miss Maya and all the people who stand up for what's right. That's our real family. She nodded, satisfied. And we have our boundary bubble. Yes, we have that most of all. As we drove away from Riverbend Park, I saw it in the side mirror the pavilion where they'd tried to break me, now standing as a monument to survival. The security cameras that had recorded my humiliation also recorded my victory. The same community that had witnessed my shame had witnessed their consequences. I pulled into our driveway as the last light faded. Tomorrow there would be lawyer meetings, therapy appointments, victim impact statements to write. The criminal trial loomed. The civil suits would drag on for months, maybe years. But tonight, Nora and I would eat dinner at our table, in our home, inside our boundaries. We'd read bedtime stories about brave princesses who saved themselves. We'd sleep peacefully, protected by restraining orders and deadbolts and the beautiful, brutal power of consequences. I helped Nora from the car, her boundary bubble painting carefully held in both hands. As we walked to our door, she said something that stopped me cold. Mommy, I'm proud of you for being brave. 26 years of swallowing humiliation. 7 weeks of fighting back. One child learning that love doesn't require accepting abuse. Worth every legal filing, every court date, every dollar spent. I unlocked our door, our sanctuary, our safe space, our home without harm. I'm proud of us both. Baby. We stepped inside and I locked the door behind us. Not in fear, but in freedom, the kind you build document by document, boundary by boundary, consequence by consequence. Outside, the world spun on with its cruelties and conflicts, but inside our bubble, we were untouchable, not because we were hiding, but because we'd stood in the brightest light and demanded justice, and we'd gotten it. I wiped the last bit of mayonnaise residue from the wooden bench where I'd stood crying 6 weeks ago, then took Nora's hand. Together, we walked through the park gates, the same gates that now bore my parents' names on the banned list, typed clearly, laminated officially, displayed prominently. Justice served, dignity restored, boundaries fortified. The end. Thank you so much for listening to Rachel's story. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a comment and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts below. Your own experiences and perspectives matter, and I'd be honored to hear them.